All right, Buff fans, welcome to our game preview as the 21st ranked Colorado Buffaloes, or 20th ranked if you go by the CFP rankings, which I guess is what matters most, are heading down to Texas Tech to take on the Red Raiders in Lubbock. And Adam, we're hoping to be there. We're both in Colorado. You were hoping to not be at this point. Share your story because that's a new background from anybody that watches your videos. They've never seen that background before because you've never had that background before.
I have not. I left home in Johnstown, Colorado. Lovely home. Was sad to leave the family and our dogs, but it was like, okay, let's get down to Amarillo tonight. Booked a hotel right by the home of the 72-ounce steak. Chico Cleveland, our friend, talked me out of that, so I was just going to get an individual serving of that and not do anything crazy down there. But the roads are a mess. I got down south of Denver and things were blocked off really around kind of Castle Rock area. So I try to veer over because you're checking all the apps, Waze, Google Maps,
Mhm.
just the Apple Maps, and they're all sending me in different directions. And everywhere I go, Brian, I'm getting turned away. And so I'm not too far away from DIA, where you're going to be heading down tomorrow. And I'm just trying to get out of here, but I'm going to keep an eye on the weather forecast. And I talked to a sheriff at one of the stops where everybody had to turn around, and he said that the last four people I talked to were trying to get down to Lubbock, Texas. So there's some other Buff fans in the same club as me, and so hopefully, safely, we can all get down there. And that was part of the thought, Brian. Is this was similar to the UCF game of just trying to figure out how to get there safely, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I was going to say I missed the Pac-12, but it's really Colorado's fault that I can't get out of the state.
Well, except that there's nowhere in the Pac-12 that you would have decided to drive.
That's true.
So, and actually, it's funny. I don't know if it's funny right now for you, but throughout the season, you and me and other reporters have kind of talked about, we'll often bring up how you getting down to Lubbock, things like that, and it's kind of a mixed bag as who's driving and who's flying. The DNVR guys, I know I haven't seen the updates, but they have their RV that they're taking down. I don't know how.
You can't get out of Colorado right now. I've tried.
Yeah, so
I really have.
yeah, I don't know where they are, but I decided to fly because it's a drivable distance, but I'm like, man, November makes me nervous, and this is why. So I'm just hoping you get out and we're down there in Lubbock because we're trying to meet up for dinner on Friday night in Lubbock, and so I'm hoping you're there in time for dinner. So good luck to you in that, and yeah, we can blame the conference realignment because like I said, there's nowhere you would have driven to in the Pac-12. So I'll blame conference realignment on this one.
Matt Smith did the research. You can apparently paint with lemurs down in Lubbock. That was going to be a fun Friday afternoon, Brian. I don't know if that's going to happen now.
Yeah, your Friday afternoon might just be white knuckling it through the roads to get down there. So I wish you luck. I hope that I get out on an airplane on Friday. So hopefully we all get down there to Lubbock and because I think it's gonna be a good football game. And so that's our transition to that is I think it'll be a good game. This is two teams that have a lot to play for. And there's a lot at stake for Colorado that we've talked about, but there's a lot at stake for Texas Tech as well.
Yeah, they really saved their season last week, I think, with
Mhm.
that Iowa State win. That's something that I've heard folks that cover Texas Tech talk about is they needed that win to kind of catapult this team.
Mhm.
And so you have that now. But they're pretty banged up. There's a lot of guys on Texas Tech's team that are questionable going into this game. We know that they're very explosive offensively. They lead the Big 12 in scoring offense, but on the other side of it, they've given up huge chunks of points and yards in a lot of games this year. So um, early on this season, Brian, I thought that Arizona was the most Jekyll and Hyde team in this conference. And ever since Colorado went down to Tucson, they've been pretty horrible.
Yeah,
Now Texas Tech is kind of taking that baton, right?
right.
They are really hard to predict. They can get it going for a while, but this is a game for Colorado, even going on the road, even with them having the excitement of Fox Big Noon kickoff on campus. You got to come out there and be convincing the same way you were at Arizona and UCF to really
Mhm.
kind of bolster that college football playoff resume now that we get to talk about.
Yeah, and it's interesting listening to like Joey McGuire's press conference this week, and he's saying a lot of the same things that Colorado was saying is like, look, we've got to make it just about football. Go out there and play. We can't get caught up in all the things going on around them, and it's somewhat similar to that environment. You mentioned UCF. UCF, we went down there and Big Noon Kickoff was down there. It's a big recruiting weekend. It's a big opportunity for UCF. Well, Texas Tech has the same thing. Big Noon Kickoff is there. There's a big recruiting weekend for them, and it's a big opportunity for them as well. So, CU ruined one team's Big Noon Kickoff. I wonder if they can do the same thing this weekend. That's going to be the goal, and it's certainly a beatable team, but it's one that you better come and play well.
We heard Andre Hart talk to us a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? It feels like this week has been about a month now. But Andre Hart was talking about this is probably the first time they're truly going to face up tempo
Yeah,
in terms of the other offense. They thought a couple other teams would do that. I think we mentioned that on an analysis video earlier this week. That's going to be the test, is just
yeah,
processing things quickly as a defense, more so than you've had to do earlier this season. And if they can do that, then I think a lot of the advantages quickly go into Colorado's favor in terms of Texas Tech not having a good pass defense statistically. So this is a game that Shedeur Sanders and Colorado's receivers could feast. And there have been times where this offense can be explosive, but also if you have a team that can catch up to that tempo, you can have success against it.
hmm
You're not going to shut that offense down. We'll get into our predictions later, but this is a game that it's going to be a test for Livingston's defense in that sense, but it also should be a day where Shedeur and Travis and Travis, especially with his Heisman campaign, can put up a lot of stats if they show
yeah.
up to play and are ready to go.
Yeah, Texas Tech, I was looking, they've given up 101 pass plays of 10 yards or more, which is by far the most in the Big 12. By comparison, CU's given up 60. So they've given up a lot of big pass plays, and that tells me that they give the quarterback some time as well. They're last in the conference in sacks,
Mhm.
and those two things you look at. Their pass defense is not very good. They're the last defense in the conference. You look at those things, and it kind of sets up like, wow, Shador could really have a big game here. But I also think the Buffs have got to get the running game going a little bit too. And Isaiah, Augusta, Dallin Hayden are big in that. And I think there's opportunities to do that as well. So I feel pretty confident that the CU offense can go down there and do some things.
But you got to continue to be multidimensional, and I
Yeah.
think that is something that has kind of taken hold in this program now.
hmm
I think whether if you're a casual Colorado fan to the point of covering it and it being your living, you just want to see them be able to kind of carry that momentum because
Yeah.
it's brutal, Brian, watching this offense when so much is put on Shador Sanders'
hmm
shoulders, and it's not fair. As talented as he is, you just can't go into this month of November thinking that that's going to be a successful plan for this program. And I loved when Pat Shermer came out after that Kansas State game in front of the team in the team meeting and said that basically enough is enough. And
Yeah.
we've kind of seen this team adopt that mentality since then. And
hmm
you really have to keep that going out in Lubbock, even though they don't have a great pass defense and going forward this season.
Yeah, and to your point, that Kansas State game, they finished with a program record low, minus 29 rushing yards, and obviously a lot of that is sack yardage. I think it was minus 70 something on sack yardage, but that leaves only 50 some yards rushing that they actually had, and they kind of abandoned it very early in the game because they weren't able to do it, and it was a little bit rough to watch. Now they hit some big plays and they were in it, and you could argue that was a pass interference late in that game against Will Shepherd, and maybe they win that game. But it's so much. prettier and fun to watch that offense when
Mhm.
the last 2 weeks you're rushing for 148 and 123. I think those are the numbers. And Isaiah Gustive was close to that 100-yard that mark 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati. So it's a much better offense to watch in that regard. And so I think this sets up well for Colorado to have a good game there and to go out there and play some good offense down there. Now, to me, the key is defensively, can they shut down, or at least enough shut down that Texas Tech offense, which you mentioned is number one in the Big 12. And you don't know which Texas Tech offense is going to show up. And is it the one that, only puts up 23 at Iowa State? No, Iowa State's very good. Or is it one that can put up 50? You don't know which one's going to show up. And but they're very dangerous, running the ball and throwing the ball.
It's funny because Brian, they have compared Taj Brooks to DJ Giddens
Hmm.
this week. And that's the only back that's really had success against CU, like in
Yeah,
terms of kind of their typical week to week production. Uh, they made RJ Harvey look pretty pedestrian
right.
out there in Orlando, and they've faced some other talented backs. And so the patience they talk about Taj Brooks running with was what Giddens was so successful with in terms of baiting guys and getting them to over pursue and then breaking it off for big runs. And so that to me defensively is discipline, almost kind of like going against a triple option in terms of your eyes. Like this is a game where you have to be really disciplined there. We talked about the tempo, but Taj Brooks is a talented back.
Yep.
And if you can somehow make him look human, you're going to win the football game.
Yeah.
He is kind of the key and the heartbeat of that team, I feel like.
I'm curious to see how this defense approaches it because Andre Hart said, "Look, we feel like 28 is their offense. They go as he goes." Joey McGuire said the same thing. He said, "When he's going well, we play well." Uh, there's a there's a big number out there for Taj Brooks this week, 121 yards. If he gets that, he sets Texas Tech's all-time rushing record. And Joey McGuire said it means a lot to Taj, means a lot to us, means a lot to the offensive line. I wonder if Colorado's defense is looking at that and saying, "Nah, he's not getting that against us." And if they go all out to try to stop him, and he's not getting that record, I would say this: if Taj Brooks does not get that record this week, that's a very good thing for Colorado because that means they've done a good job defensively. And if they keep him under 120 yards, I think that's pretty good. He's averaging 130. I think under 120, and you keep him away from that record would be a really big win for the Buffs.
Yeah, I'd almost be uh, tempted to put that number in front of every defensive front
Yeah,
lineman,
right.
defensive line, linebackers on their locker because
And Tyler Brown.
Coach Prime and Tyler Brown,
Yeah.
yeah, they have built a locker room full of
Hmm.
competitors,
Hmm.
and I think at times in 2023, I wouldn't say that it tore this team apart, but there were some guys that were maybe disappointed
Hmm.
in their role on this team. This year, yeah, you've had a few defections here. I mean, you're talking about with walk-ons over 100 guys, somewhere around 100
Yeah.
guys. You're just
Hmm.
18 to 22-year-olds are just going to have different paths, and you're never going to have full buy-in across the board. But that does seem to be there. And again, that group of competitors, I feel like would love a goal like that. And that will be a fun number to look at on Saturday after the game ends to see if they were able to accomplish that. If they
Yeah.
do, they probably win the football game, right?
And that's why I put so much importance on that is that obviously you don't go after that at the expense of something else. I just think that if they're holding him to a number like that, below that number, I think that means they probably win the football game because CU, as we know, is very confident in their corners to get the job done. And Josh Kelly is a very good receiver. But you look at the
Mhm.
Cincinnati game and, you know, this Texas Tech offense sort of reminds me of Cincinnati in that they got the good running back like Corey Kiner at Cincinnati. They have a good receiver, but CU totally shut down Xavier Henderson at Cincinnati. He had one catch. It didn't come till 5 minutes left in the game, and if they can do that and focus on the run, I feel confident in their pass defense. I think Baron Morton's probably a better quarterback than Sorsby, but um, even that you could probably flip a coin.
Stop the run, run the football. It almost sounds like
Right.
football 101 that we're breaking down here.
Right. Yeah. Basics, right? We're not telling
Yeah.
anybody anything that they don't already know. And I mean, you could say that probably every week, but I just think, and I wrote a story about this today, that I think the run game, uh, which ironically, because both these teams are known for passing the ball, but I think that running the football on both sides is going to be the biggest key in this game. Can CU do it, and can they stop them?
Yeah. No, I think that's really the key for Colorado going into the month of November and through however far they get. And
Yeah.
this is kind of following that second bye week. It kind of feels like the true stretch run of this Colorado football season.
Yeah, and one of the note on Taj Brooks is that he and Ashton Genty are the only two players in the country that have rushed for 100 yards in every game this year. So there is that as well. And CU has only given up one 100-yard rusher, and that was DJ Giddens. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. As far as going into November, I learned this week in watching the Joey McGuire press conference that apparently Tech fans down there are calling this Joe Vember because Joey McGuire is so good in November. Apparently, he's 9-2 with Texas Tech in November. Colorado, on the other hand, has lost 9 straight November games. So something's got to flip there for Colorado. I think it will. But you're trying to get rid of that ugly streak. It was totally different teams. I get it. But Texas Tech, to my point, is they know how to win in November. They've got a track record of doing it under Coach McGuire.
Yeah, I bought into that stuff more so until what I saw Colorado do the 2 weeks prior to the bye week in terms
Mhm.
of this is a different team in terms of comparing them
Right.
to previous Colorado teams. And so, yeah, Texas Tech had a great win. And even if they go on to have a pretty successful November, I still think Colorado is a better team on paper.
Right.
And if they go down there to Lubbock, and hopefully we can join them down there, I think this is a game that they should win.
Well, how do you see this playing out? What's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I think I've maybe tuned in to Texas Tech at the worst times of their defense
Mhm.
because it looked like a hot knife through butter at times when I've watched this Texas Tech defense. And I know that they've had some moments of getting better and some glimmers of, okay, we can put it together and not be this embarrassing group. But, with Colorado, again, showing that consistency prior to the bye week, it's always tough to predict coming out of the bye week. But I've got Colorado winning this game 49, let's say 49-31. I like Colorado
Okay.
to win this. Not quite. I think that Texas Tech is a better football team than what UCF has shown itself to be here in the last month and a half. But I still think Colorado goes down there and wins. But yeah, I hate to always put this caveat in there, but you do have to stop Taj Brooks to have that type of result in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the Buffs they've dominated their last 3 road games, and it sounds like you're thinking it'll be 4 in a row in that regard. I think they're going to win their fourth in a row on the road. I see it a little bit closer than that. I'm going Colorado 34-28 in this one, and I think it's going to be one that maybe a little like the Cincinnati game, to where it's close, and then you have like Mata, kind of kick that late field goal to push it to a it wouldn't be a two-score game on my prediction, but it'd make them score a touchdown at least. So I think that it's going to be close the whole way, but I think Colorado wins it. I think they're just the better football team right now, and I think they're locked in. I feel confident in this team really playing anywhere right now because we've seen them play actually better on the road than at times they play at home. So I feel confident in this Buffs team. They're going to go down there and get a win.
Yeah, again, this is a very Jekyll and Hyde team they're going up against,
Yeah,
and we'll see what version of Texas Tech shows up there. Sometimes that Fox big noon kickoffs can be catapulting to a team. Other times it can be a
yeah.
distraction. Again, you're trying to make predictions based on all the stuff you're putting together. It's tough, but I just think the one thing I feel confident in, Brian, is that Shador Sanders and this offense are going to have a pretty good day
Yeah.
on Saturday down in Lubbock.
I'd be surprised with that. The one thing I will say with Texas Tech's defense is they do take the ball away. They've generated a lot of takeaways this year, so you got to be careful with that. But so as I'm thinking about this, obviously Big Noon was there at TCU last year, and they were there at UCF. Was there any other times that Big Noon was somewhere else with this CU team?
I don't think so. They obviously were in Boulder for
Yeah,
the CSU game, and then what was it, the USC game as well last year, I think.
yeah. So I think they only three times in a row. So both times they've been on the road for CU, the Buffs have come away with a win and ruined somebody's big noon kickoff. So maybe they'll do it again. We'll see. I don't know what version of Texas Tech. I don't know what version of Adam we're going to see down there, or a version of me. I hope that we're both down there though.
Yeah, let's fingers crossed. We got to find out a way to get down there because this team is too fun to cover in person. I don't want to be watching on TV.
Well, I don't mean this bad, but I feel more confident in my ability to get down there than you, being on an airplane and you having roads closed to where you can't get out. But I hope the roads open up for you because you need to be down there.
I'm watching the Doppler over here. I think I'm going to have a window to get down there.
I hope
But
so.
if not, I know Sean Niehoff for Buff Stampede is going to be down there. So worst case scenario, I'll head back to home tomorrow and he'll cover it. But I think I'm going to get there, Brian.
I hope you're there. I hope we grab some dinner in Lubbock on Friday night.
I can't wait. But have we figured out where we're going?
Not yet. Just get there and then we'll figure it out.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair
All right.
enough.
Well, we'll see everybody after the game on Saturday.